Church here, and welcome to the Game Grinder. Today is what I would consider to be part 2 of my garage sale season pickups. Again, I had a couple garage sales, got a few things, ended up selling most of what I found just to kind of make my money back, but fortunately I was able to keep a few things, found a few good things, so I'll just kind of go through this mess by system, I guess. So let's start with the original Nintendo then. So the first game I got was the gray cart version of The Adventures of Link. I already had the gold cart version, and I will say that that is one of my favorite NES games. I know it's not a popular opinion by any means, but I have some particularly fond memories of that game. Then I also got Tetris, which I'm not quite sure why I didn't have Tetris, but I have it now. So the next is going to be Super Mario Bros. 2. Great classic. Ignore the haters who don't like it anymore since everybody discovered that it was a reskin, basically. Anyways, and then I got Dr. Mario, which again, not really sure why I didn't have this, but I have it now. So let's then move on to the Sega Genesis then. Got pretty lucky with this one. Pretty much got a big bin with the Genesis, Nintendo, bunch of Genesis games. Actually, maybe that's where I got the Nintendo games. I can't remember. I probably should. But again, kept a few things. Ended up reselling most of it. So let's go with the first game here. Is going to be Spider-Man and X-Men, which I think I might have played this. I can't remember if I have or not. I haven't played it since I got it, but I had a friend growing up that had a Genesis, so pretty much I had the Nintendo stuff, he had the Genesis stuff, and he had most of the superhero games, but I can't remember this one. And then I also got Jungle Strike, which is a pretty fun game. Again, my friend had this when we were kids, and I actually, before I found this, I was talking with somebody about kind of some fun little hidden games that not a lot of people talk about, and this was one of them, and then I found it at a garage sale. And then I also got Quackshot, starring Donald Duck. Never played this one. I've heard that it's a okay game, but I'll get around to it eventually. And then I also got Echo and the Tides of Time. I had this loose, so having it complete now is pretty awesome. And I got the classic Road Rash. Love these games. Me and my friend used to play these for hours and hours. This one, especially the second one. The second one was really good. And I got Columns, which is basically kind of like the competitor for Tetris at the time, as far as I'm concerned. Pretty decent little puzzler game, kind of, dealing with jewels and whatnot, and colors. And this one was not a garage sale pickup, but the actually last batch of stuff that I ended up reselling, the extra stuff that I got that would have been during my last pickup video finds, took a bunch of stuff into a local game shop, did some trades, and decided to pick up a few games with what I had, and I gotta say, I'm pretty excited for this one. Even though I haven't played it yet, I'm just so backlogged playing stuff that I'm trying to keep up with. But I will play this eventually, and that is going to be Alicia Dragoon. It's a pretty cool platformer, action-adventure game with some kind of cool mechanics. It was reasonably priced, pretty close to market value, but I have that, and that was one of the main games I was looking for the Genesis, so I can check that off the list. Well, let's move on to the handheld stuff then, just because why not? So the first game I got here is Super Mario Bros. Deluxe for the Game Boy Color. I got this in a bunch of random sorted game stuff from a garage sale. Haven't played this, but I think it's just the Mario Brothers in color? I don't know. Anyways, and then this was a kind of random purchase online. There's a Facebook group that I'm part of, and somebody was nice enough to share a link for a site that was selling reproductions of Mother 3 for super cheap. I think they were $8. So hard to pass that up. I've never played Mother 3, but I got the English translated Mother 3 for the Game Boy Advance. It's pretty high up on my playlist, but, and, you know, as always, just backlogged for miles, so we'll get to that eventually. And then from the garage sale, I got the game, the Game Boy Color game. I also got a Game Boy Advance, which I didn't have the original. I had the SP, so it, you know, adding a little bit more handheld variety to my collection. And then I also got a teal Game Boy Color, putting this up to 3 different Game Boy Colors now, because why not? And then I also got a black DS Lite. You know, it has everything there, works pretty clean. Basically, this was a family of, I guess probably kids that just recently finished high school or went into college or something, and they had a bunch of handheld stuff. There was a few other things that I decided not to keep, and I got a couple loose boxes for some DS Pokemon games, but they were missing the game itself, I guess. So then I guess I'm just going to transition here to something really cool. So I have been known to give my friends a little hard time about some games that they've been sitting on forever, that they'll never play again, that they're not super keen on collecting or anything like that. So I harass them time to time to talk them into, you know, giving the bro price on some games. And my best friend actually had a pretty decent collection of random games, stuff he's played here and there, some that he hasn't played that much, and he gave me a bunch of stuff. Pretty much he kept like his PlayStation collection, and for the most part gave me everything else he had, which was crazy. Like, he told me that he had a few things, but I was definitely underestimating the generosity of the friends I have. You know, I've had some friends and gave me some stuff in my previous video, and yeah, I got some awesome friends, and thanks guys, you know who you are. So anyways, let's start with this stuff. So I now have a PSP. This is the 2000, sorry, PSP 3000, PSP 2000. I had a PSP once. I was working at a detail shop, you know, doing car cleaning and stuff years ago, and I actually found a original PSP like right after they first came out, and had a case, and there was a couple games. I can't remember what the games were, and at the time I wasn't really collecting or having any interest in portables, so I ended up selling it. But I'm glad to have that back. There are some games I definitely want to play on the PSP now, and now I have a PSP. And he also gave me a DS. I actually got this DS Lite before I got the other one, so I'm up to 2. I had, you know, no DS's a couple months ago, and now I got a couple. And then of course, you can't have a PSP and a DS without games, right? So let's just go through some of the games that all the games my friend gave me. So the first one here is going to be Dragon Quest IX, Sentinels of the Starry Sky. I haven't played it. I haven't played any of these games yet, but I will eventually. They come from a good source, so I have good faith that these are good games. I also got Fire Emblem Shadow Dragon. Again, like, I got the Game Boy Advance game in my last pickup video, and it still stands true. I've yet to play a Fire Emblem game. I also got Suikoden Tierkreis? I don't know how to say that, but it's another Suikoden game. I really want to like spend more time with this series. I played the first game. At the time, I thought it was a decent game, but I wasn't blown away by it. But I really want to play Suikoden 2 now. I just, all I hear is fantastic things, and I actually now have this, and I have Suikoden 3, 4, and 5 as well, so, you know, might as well round out the series and play through all the games again. So the next DS game I got was Dragon Quest 6, Realms of Revelation, and this is still sealed. Not that it really matters to me, but another sealed game is Golden Sun Dark Dawn. Again, they all look like they're pretty cool, but I'll get to them eventually. So let's jump over to the PSP games. I got The Legend of Heroes, Tactics Ogre, Let Us Cling Together, which is a game really high up on my list. I've wanted to play this for quite a while, and it seems like the PSP is kind of the way to go as far as price goes, because the original game was a lot more expensive. I also got Star Ocean Second Evolution and Star Ocean First Departure, which I believe is a set or whatnot. So I got those. And I played through Star Ocean for the PlayStation 1. I can't remember which one that was. I don't have it anymore, but I do want to get that game again. So I'm pretty interested to see how these games go. I know there's a Star Ocean 5, I think, is in development right now, and from what I've seen, it looked really cool. So it'll be cool to jump back into that series. And then I got Final Fantasy Tactics: The War of the Lions, which I already had Final Fantasy Tactics for the PlayStation 1. Absolutely love this game, and I hear this one's just more greatness. So very cool, and very awesome hookup from my friend. But that's not all. So my friend also hooked me up with some PC games. Some of these I probably won't play just because, you know, it's kind of past the prime for those. But there's a few of these that I was pretty stoked to get in my collection. I've played them, but anyways. So that's going to be Age of Empires 2, The Age of the Kings, and the expansion, The Conquerors. Fantastic strategy games. I actually borrowed these from my friend way back when and played those and had a pretty good time. And then I've kind of been harassing him for this for quite a while. Even though codes for PC games typically can't be reused and whatnot, I didn't really care about the code because I already had the game. But now I have the Dragon Age Origins Collector's Edition, which basically comes with a steel case, and there's some extra DLC which I don't get, but I have gotten through other methods on Steam, and I think there's a map and whatnot. And just to round out my Dragon Age collection, love this series. If you haven't played them, play these games. They are some of the best games you'll ever play. And now jumping over to some box games, we got World of Warcraft Burning Crusade. I have the original World of Warcraft. I played that for a good amount of time and quit actually right before the expansion started coming out. Just, you know, cool to have in the collection, even though I probably won't play it. He also hooked me up with Guild Wars Factions Platinum Edition, which also comes with the original game, and Guild Wars Nightfall. I kind of missed the boat on these. I guess I could still play them, but pretty cool looking, kind of like Diablo MMO style game in the vein of World of Warcraft. At the time, it was almost kind of like the free-to-play competitor of World of Warcraft. So then I also got Aeon, which is a Korean MMO, I believe. The graphics and everything for the game look really cool, but I'm kind of not into the MMO scene anymore. I wouldn't say that that's never going to happen again, but for the time being, I just don't really have the time to invest in a game like that. So then I also got Battlefield 3, Not a crazy fan of the series, but I mean, they're good games. I got really nothing against them, but it's just not really my sort of game anymore. I used to play a lot of Counter-Strike, and that kind of got my fill of the multiplayer, modern warfare sort of game. And then it also gave me EverQuest 2, which I never played these games, but I've always heard great things for being the monster MMOs that they are. And then finally, he gave me the Star Wars, The Old Republic Collector's Edition, which is pretty cool. It has a statue of this dude, I think, but I'm not 100% on that. Pretty cool. I actually might play this one. I hear it's a really good game, and you just kind of run through the story, and once you do the story, then you just kind of quit playing the game, because it's just turns into a grind fest or whatnot. And then lastly, for the games that my friend gave me, he gave me a couple PS4 games, which is sweet because my PS4 collection needed a little girth to it, I guess. So he gave me Destiny. Actually, it looks interesting. I really like the way the game looks, but again, it's just that like military-style shooter kind of gameplay in an MMO setting, ripe with microtransactions, and I got a feeling it's probably like a pay-to-win experience, but I could be wrong. But I don't know. This one I might play at some point, but I'm not sure. There's just so much other stuff I want to play. And then he also gave me Middle-earth: Shadow of Mordor. Really cool looking game. Again, it looks sweet, but I'm not sure if and when I'll get to it. I just got so many other games that I want to play, and these kind of just fell in my lap, which, you know, I'm not complaining at all. But no, it's great to have some good games in my PS4 collection, because it's finally getting to the point where there's a lot of stuff coming out. My PS4 collection is starting to grow a little bit. And then I guess we'll just kind of segue into some of my other pickups. While I'm on PS4, I also got Resident Evil 2 Resident Evil Revelations 2. Pretty excited for this one. I know it's been out for a while now, and I haven't played it. I've managed to avoid spoilers and reviews of the game, so I don't really know what to expect. I will say, after Resident Evil 5 and Resident Evil 6 and Resident Evil Operation Raccoon City, I was so disenfranchised from the series that, you know, I'm really not sure how much interest I have in playing Resident Evil anymore. But then I played the PlayStation 3 Resident Evil Revelations port. I think it was on the Wii or something first. But anyways, Resident Evil Revelations was a fantastic Resident Evil game. Finally a step in the right direction, back to the roots of the series. The enemies and everything are still really weird, and I don't really get it, but yeah, I'm looking forward to this one. I'm really hoping it's great. Alright, so let's take a step back here and jump to the PlayStation 1. So these are going to be a few garage sale finds that I got that I'm pretty happy with. You know, there's certain systems I really want to find games for when I garage sale, and some of those systems always tends to be sports games or shooters or racing games, because that's what most people get, and why not sell them in a garage sale? But these are actually a few sports games that I don't mind having in my collection, and that's going to be the NFL Blitz series. So I got NFL Blitz, NFL Blitz 2000, and NFL Blitz 2001 for the PlayStation 1. And these are pretty fun games. We used to play these way back when, you know, long nights of just, you know, hanging out with friends and playing Tony Hawk and playing NFL Blitz and whatever else we felt like playing at the time. And then also got Doom for the PlayStation 1, green label, but I hear this is actually one of the better ports of Doom if you're not going to play it on the PC. So, hey, more Doom in the collection, no complaints. And this I was actually pretty interested, or I was kind of surprised about, because I usually don't see this very often in the wild at all. It's usually the director's cut, but it's the original Resident Evil. I have the director's cut, but I never had the original release, which is not as good actually. The director's cuts, like, they improved camera angles and whatnot, but it's great to have Resident Evil when Resident Evil was great in my collection. And these games, this goes back with the Alicia Dragoon pickup. When I went to the game shop and traded in the stuff, I needed to buy a few things, so I decided to get some pretty good stuff. And this one is a replacement to my collection. I used to have it, and that's going to be Lunar, the Silver Star story, complete. This comes with the art book and everything. Really great game. I'll actually... a lot of people don't know, but there's actually basically a hidden mini game that you can unlock in Lunar, which is basically like a multiplayer breakout game that you can play with a multi-tap. And I probably spent as much time playing that with my friends as I actually did playing through the game. So if you have Lunar and you have a multi-tap, or maybe even 2 controllers, you should check out the mini game. It's actually pretty fun. And then with that, I've only heard great things. I hear this is better than the first game, which I'm pretty excited, because I really liked Lunar. That was a great game. But I also got Lunar Eternal Blue complete, and this is a super minty box. This is really high up on my to-play list, but who knows when I'll get to it, just because there's so much stuff coming out, and trying to keep up with the new stuff is tough when you got all the old stuff to play too. So I'm pretty stoked about having those games back in my collection. And then this, I had the disc loose, and I went on eBay and ended up finding a really cheap case manual with artwork of Legend of Mana for the PlayStation. So I got this complete now, which makes me really happy. So then also from that same shop, I ended up picking up Persona 4. I haven't played this yet. I've heard great things about it. Again, hopefully you can kind of see a trend here as I try to get the great games into my collection. Not so much junk, but this is a series I want to get into. I played the original Persona Revelations for the PlayStation 1, and it was a pretty brutal game. I'm not sure if I ever actually finished it, because I was borrowing it from my friend who was the same friend who hooked me up with a lot of these games. And I just never had the opportunity to play any of the games since then. And I just hear people rave about Persona 4 all the freaking time. So I figured, why not pick up the game? It comes with both discs, which is great, because I've seen this a few times and it didn't have both discs. So I got that. I'll get to it eventually. I'm kind of interested already in Persona 5. After watching some trailers and reading some stuff about that, so I might actually jump on that game, and maybe that will be my entry point to the series if I don't get on this one. And then I also got Parappa the Rapper 2. Never actually played the second one, played the crap out of the first one. Kind of funny, kind of interesting games. You know, kind of some of the older, I guess, music games. So then I guess kind of wrapping things up here is a few other random pickups that I got. So I actually used to have this complete in box, and I got it just because I loved the games that much. I still have my original copies, but also found at a garage sale is the Diablo 2 Battle Chest. So I now have multiple versions of the Diablo games. This comes with the guides and everything for the games. So it's more Diablo for my shelves, and if you know me very well, you know I absolutely love Diablo. So just getting some more variety on the shelf is very awesome. And then I also got a Nintendo 64 transfer pack. This uses the original Pokemon Game Boy games, and you can plug this in, plug it into your 64 controller, and I think you can import information to some of the 64 games and I think you might be able to transfer it to other games. I'm not 100%. I never used it. My friends and I, we had the Game Boy Pokemons at the time, but nobody ever had this or any of the other like 64 Pokemon games. So just another little cool accessory. And then also, this was kind of interesting. So I found this at a garage sale. They were selling a bunch of board games, and I was like, come on, this is just too cool to pass up. I think it was $2 at the time. It was funny because then a week later, James Rolfe did his Board James episode, and he talked about the Pac-Man game, the board game. So I thought that was kind of cool. I was mostly impressed that it was from 1980, and this isn't still, it's a little rough, but it's in still complete shape. The box isn't falling apart. It's just a little sun damaged and whatnot, but it has all the pieces and everything. And kind of seeing, I need to put this somewhere. So I figured, why not? More spice for the shelf. And if somebody ever wants to play a really simple board game, I got a video game one. So you can't go wrong there. And then lastly here, I've never really been much into game guides, strategy guides. Back in the days of like Super Nintendo and PlayStation, I always kind of turned my nose up at them, thinking it was cheating, taking the lazy route. But once you start getting into some of those JRPGs, you really need the guides in a lot of cases, where you can't play through some of these games or unlock like half of the content without knowing how to access it. But so recently I've kind of started getting into guides. They're just more cool stuff to have, and yeah, you can always check up some of this info on the internet, but it's pretty easy when you're playing the game, and you can have the book right there, or I guess you can use your smartphone too, but whatever. So anyways, one of my friends was selling a bunch of stuff, and I ended up buying this lot from him, keeping a few things for myself, and then selling the rest. So I got a few things for myself for pretty cheap. I actually got a manual for Brave Fencer Musashi for the PlayStation, and I got a alternate disc for Alundra for the PlayStation 1. I had the I guess the standard blue disc, and I got the red disc now. And I guess I think there's like 6 different versions of Alundra for whatever reason. So I got 2 of those, so that's pretty cool. But then I also got the Parasite Eve 1 and 2 strategy guides. So just kind of cool. I guess when I play the games again, I'll probably be more than happy to flip through and check out some of the secrets. I don't really have a lot of patience in some of the older games for all the secret hunting, so I can make it a little easier on myself. But yeah, so that is the pretty much the final garage sailing / big pickups for the summer. Obviously, I've gotten a few things since then, but this is kind of like the bigger bulk of things. I know I say that now, and I'm sure when I do my next video, it's going to be heaping over my table again. But hey, it's the way game chasing go. While surveying my mess, I did realize that I did forget a couple games. So when I went to GameStop and got Resident Evil Revelations 2, they had a buy 2 get 1 sale going on, so I decided to partake. It's, can be challenging passing up basically free games, but you don't really save too much. But they were cheap enough, so I figured why the hell not, and grab a few games that I was mildly interested in getting, just never got around to. So the first game is going to be Castlevania Lords of Shadow. I always had interest in this game since it originally came out, just never got around to it. Looked pretty decent. I hear good things about it. I hear it's not great, but I hear it's a good game either way. And yeah, so decided to get that. I probably will get the second one, even though I hear the second one is kind of a big turd. But anyways, so these games, I always see a lot of people talking about them, which is kind of sets off a little radar for me in various places online and whatnot, and forums. And that is the Hyperdimension Neptuna series, and also got Hyperdimension Neptuna Mark II, Make 2. don't really know a whole lot about the games. They seem a little out there. Lots of fan service kind of stuff, with questionable jiggliness and things like that. Seem a little strange, but I always hear good things about them, and I hear they're pretty funny, and there's a lot of kind of like game humor and whatnot. All the characters are based after consoles, so figured why the hell not. They're cheap enough, and they don't look awful just by looking at them, so that's usually a relatively good sign for me. I usually can pick them up pretty well, but yeah. So yeah, those are my pickups for this video. Pretty happy with what I got. I mean, then again, I'm happy anytime I'm getting video games, but you know, getting stuff like Lunars and Alicia Dragoon, and the stuff that my friends gave me makes for a great day. So I hope you enjoyed my newest pickups video, and again, you know, I'll have one probably in a month or two, kind of filling in the gaps between now and then. And as per usual, hit me up on Facebook and Twitter, and subscribe and like and share if you like what you're watching, and we will see you next time on the Game Grinder.